Okay, this is Dallas Ell. This is your life. Take one.
Well,
Let's start with some easy ones.
thank you, Dave.
What is your full name?
It's Dallas Robert Ell.
Good. Were you named after somebody?
I think my father ultimately had a friend in the building industry whom he liked,
Huh.
and I think his name was Dallas.
It wasn't Robert. It was Dallas.
No, it was Dallas.
Where did Robert come from?
Just they're trying to make up names.
Ah.
Out of a family of 11, they were running out of names, so I figured I got Robert. Some other people got nothing, because we just ran out of names.
I've got to hold the horse already. 11 people.
Yes.
So 10 siblings.
Yes, indeed.
Where are you in the list?
I'm the 8th, I think.
8th out of 11.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
were there any gaps, or was your mum pregnant for 20 years of her life?
Yes, she was.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was. She was a warrior. Let's be clear.
You could call her that. Yeah.
She was a warrior. Yeah.
I love that.
She, in a time of our development as a country in the 1950s, there was very little in the way of machinery. We had no, in the beginning we had no fridge, no washing machine. Can you imagine trying to raise 11 children without a washing machine or a fridge?
I cannot imagine that.
Yeah, so...
How many boys and how many girls in that list?
Oh gosh, I think there was 5 boys and 6 girls.
Okay. And the eldest couple kids, were they boys or girls?
Paul and one of each.
One of each. Because often the oldest girl becomes second mum, right?
Yeah, something
in a
like
family
that.
like that.
It's something like that. There was a lot of things went on, a lot of assistance went on, a lot of help went on, but it's still, mum carried a massive load.
Yeah, yeah.
Of trying to raise these 11
Totally.
tearaways, really.
Tearaways.
They were tearaways, basically.
What is the date of birth? What is your date of birth?
14/8/51.
Good. Okay, so we can give you a driver's license for another year.
Yeah.
Where were you born?
Born at Lower Hutt Hospital.
Lower Hutt Hospital.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Lower Hutt?
Correct, yeah.
And your parents were in the same house for how long?
Yeah, all of my life, really, that I can remember.
Must have been a big house.
I think there was it was a very small state house.
Wow.
A 3-bedroom state house.
Oh,
with 11 children. I recently took my granddaughter there.
Yeah.
Because I thought I better show her what my life looked like.
Yeah.
Back in the day. And we got out of the car, she said, "Papa, looks all right." I said, "Yeah, you add 11 children here, see how it looks."
Wow.
It becomes a lot more challenging. She said, "Oh, now I get it, dear. Now I get it, Papa."
Wow, so you were bunked 3 to a room, 4 to a room?
I know the girls had a bunch of bunks in their room.
Oh, so it was a boys' bunk and a girls' bunk room?
Yep.
Wow.
I had a separate room where I was bunked in with my brother Stephen.
Yeah.
And Craig came later.
Yeah. Was there anybody in the garage?
We had, no.
No garage?
No, it was one of those standard concrete garages you got from the state house.
So nobody was living out there?
Yeah. No, it was I describe it as a very dynamic home, really. How else could you describe it?
A lot going on.
A lot going on. A lot of different personalities. Some felt a little bit sort of, I guess, not quite so out there. Others had big, broad personalities. And so there was a lot of dynamics going on within that context.
Did you ever have a new clothing item before the age of 10? Or was it all hand-me-downs for you? Because you were halfway through, right?
Yeah, no, I honestly don't remember, but
You didn't get something special for your birthday?
I don't remember getting new clothing in those years.
Wow.
It's too far back for me to think. Yeah.
Do you have a core memory, something that was early on, like a first memory? Can you remember before, say, 4 years old? Kindy? Or...
I'd really struggle with that.
So it'd be school.
I know my siblings have told me
that
in my first night home, they desperately wanted to make the place nice for Mum.
Yeah.
Coming home with a brand new child.
Yes.
And so they polished all the floors.
Oh,
beautifully polished the floors.
wow.
And then they put mats down to make it even nicer.
Yeah.
Put the mats back. My mother came in the middle of the night. She wanted to get out of bed and feed me or something.
Yeah.
And she slipped on these rugs.
Oh my God.
And I was thrown to the air. I did probably 3 or 4 loops. Landed
You
on-
were, she was holding you?
She had to let me go during this course
Oh
of this,
my gosh.
falling.
Yeah.
And I was flipped onto the bed, and fortunately I came down on my face, and she broke 3 ribs, and so
Whoa.
she couldn't take care of me for 9 months.
Wow.
So she was very unwell, and those days are just, what could you do?
Wow.
So she just had to be.
So did your elder sister look after you?
No,
then?
we had a couple of people at church who desperately wanted a child,
Yeah.
and so they got the child.
You were it?
I was it.
Wow. So do you call them mum and dad still?
No, I don't know where they went to. It was too long ago.
Were your family a little bit worried that they would get too bonded to you and
Yes,
not
they
give
were.
you back?
Yes,
oh,
they
really?
Yes,
They were?
They really were. They used to go round to this lady's house and say, tap her on the shoulder, say, "Hey, I think it's time you gave the baby back."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How much time in was this? So how long did you spend
I don't
there
know. I
with
was
them?
probably in there for maybe 6 weeks or.
Oh, okay.
whatever.
Oh, it was only a number of weeks.
No, I think so, darling.
Wasn't much.
I was there for 9 months.
Yeah.
But what we were saying is how long before they started. My family started to think, well, we would like the baby back. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What kind of things did you like doing as a kid, as a child? Say,
Well,
kind of talking
Yeah.
before school up into primary school. Did you have any sports that you liked doing? Was there anybody that you played with in the neighbourhood?
No. We were family.
So it was
And
all
so
family
it was
stuff.
it was too big a family.
Yeah.
And so, to be honest, my memory of being very young is not very is not clear. I don't have many memories. My memories really start from the time when I started going to school. I think it was. then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my brother and I, Stephen and I, who were closer in age, probably got up to most mischief. To be fair.
Out of your family, you were
Yeah.
just
Well,
kind of
at that time we were kind of more
in the centre.
in a centre.
Right. So
and-
there was older kids and they were looking after the very young children and you were
Well,
kind of...
they weren't so much looking after it, I don't think, but we were free range kids.
Right. You were the vagrants of the
Yeah.
family.
Well, I had other siblings who were getting into a little bit of trouble as well. So it wasn't uncommon.
When you say a little bit of trouble,
well,
what
it
are we
wasn't
talking
uncommon.
about?
It wasn't uncommon to have the police knock on the door.
Okay, so it was what? Graffiti, lighting fires, stealing milk bottle money.
And no, it was bank robbery and stuff like that.
Of course.
Yeah,
Well, you were Pentecostals, weren't you?
yeah,
Yeah,
we did
right.
things. We did things in a
Bank
manner which
robbery.
was yeah. Yeah, so there was police knocking at the door, and so it was challenging for Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
They were doing their best
Yeah.
in a world which was quite a little bit chaotic,
Yes.
trying to raise 10 children or 11 children.
Yeah.
And so some of the kids kind of took a left,
Right.
and they should have taken it right.
Yeah.
So they got They got in some bad company.
do they ever do the roundabout and come back through? Are you connected with all of your family members?
Yeah, I'm connected, but as with any large family, you have a bit more connection with a few
Yeah.
rather than the wider group.
Yeah.
And so that's not unusual, I don't think. But I think there was a growing up period where I think Mum was doing her best and Dad was doing his best, but they decided on a different pathway.
Right.
Yeah. And so they were in some ways damaged a little bit by some of the things they were exposed to, and felt they had a right to make some decisions, and those decisions weren't always the best. So it's interesting. But Stephen and I, we were, I don't know, we just did things which you wouldn't think of today.
Yeah.
We always had our air rifles, and we would take out street lamps at night
Yeah.
to see how good our aim was.
Yeah. I've done a bit of that.
Yeah. What else did we do? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I guess there was a few wild, crazy things that we did amongst the neighbourhood.
Did you play any sports coming into school? Was there any, did you play
played
rugby or soccer?
No, I played for soccer.
Yeah,
Funny, I remember getting some second-hand football boots.
yeah,
I remember that distinctly, and they were brown.
yeah.
And I thought, oh, they're second-hand? I wanted some new ones. So anyway, I remember polishing these boots so you could see your face in them. I spent hours on the doorstep
Love that.
polishing these boots. But yeah, I played a little bit of football for the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in your primary school years?
Yeah, in the primary school years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Charlie, your grandkid, also had an interest in football.
Yeah, no, he did.
Do you remember how much lollies cost when you were a kid, going into the dairy?
Oh, my word. Good question, I don't...
Would it have been a 10-cent, or would it have been
No, maybe threepence or something like that.
threepence? What would that be equal to in today's money?
Well, that was 3 pennies, I don't know.
3 cents?
Pennies.
Yeah, right. So it's less than 5 cents.
Yeah, probably.
And what would that have bought you?
A bag full of lollies.
A bag?
A bag full of lollies.
Wow.
Yeah. So we would wander around we would share them, I suppose, a little bit. Like you'd have a gobstopper, which you'd almost choke on. It's very large. Mm-hmm. And a mixture of other things as well.
Yeah.
I do remember loving sherbet
Yeah.
back in the 1950s. Sherbet was
The little
thing.
bags with the
little
straw
bag,
on the
and
top?
It had a straw on the top.
Yeah.
Which was hopeless because the straw was made out of...
Cardboard or paper or
no,
something,
it was...
wasn't it?
What's that lolly called? Licorice.
Oh, it was made out of licorice.
It was a licorice
oh, wow,
straw.
Cool.
Yeah.
You
And
don't want to suck too hard
so
on
no,
that.
it was the licorice
bag,
straw
you'd
was never a great
be coughing.
thing for getting stuff out of. It was like quite sticky.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember a favourite meal as a child? Was there anything that you looked forward to eating in a week
Oh my word, yeah.
or on your birthday?
Yeah. Well, in my day, you're lucky if your mum and dad remembered your birthday, and that's okay.
Wow.
Because there's too many of them, so
Yeah,
you
that's true.
understood. You know, that was not a big deal.
Yeah.
If that was forgotten, but
There could have been a few months
there
where
could
there
have
was
been a few forgotten
numerous
ones.
birthdays.
Yeah.
So you just got the clothes from the people above you
Yes,
for your
we
birthday.
did get a bit of hand-me-downs,
Right.
but that's okay
A
as well.
conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Did you have any books that you enjoyed reading? Do you remember any of the
I
books?
couldn't read until I was a little older, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was terrible at school, and reading was always a struggle for me.
Yeah.
I basically taught myself to read. Yeah. And that was through a number of things. I used to get weekly, they call them war picture libraries. It was post-war celebration
Yeah.
of victories of the RAF.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like a comic book
Like a
kind
comic
of thing?
book.
Yeah.
So it was drawn, and it was a weekly edition.
Yeah.
And it was always how we were doing against the RAF.
So a little bit of light propaganda.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah,
but it was lovely.
Nice.
And I got one of those every week, and I learned to read
Yeah.
out of that.
Because you're interested in the tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned to read out of that. And what else did I learn to read out of?
Did you spend much time playing war games as kids? Because that was
Yeah, I mean, it was more like cowboys and Indians, to be honest.
right. Were you a cowboy or an Indian? What
I
did
think
you
I
prefer?
desperately wanted to be a cowboy. I think I was a cowboy,
Yeah.
desperately. Yeah.
Good.
And my brother and I would play that for a
Yeah.
while.
Well, they won, didn't they? So
Yeah.
good side to be on.
Yeah. So we did that. And
Did you collect anything? Was there anything were you that kind of person? Had a bit of a hoarding thing going on, but you called it a collection?
No.
No. So no playing
I
cards.
can't say. We used to get submarines in the wheat picks.
Little plastic
Little
toys.
plastic submarines.
Yeah.
Submarines. And we would
I remember the Weet-Bix toys.
put soda in it or something or other. And it would make the submarine lift.
Yeah. In the
sink.
bath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we played with that for a while. So the thing was to get to the Weet-Bix box, so you could get the submarine. So we played with that.
So you had to get there first.
Yes.
Did you pull the Weet-Bix, half of the
Probably
Weet-Bix out?
Pull it apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then neatly stack them so no one knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got that for a while. Other things, there were probably other little things that we did
Yeah.
that I can't remember.
Did you have a family pet? I guess there was too much going on in the house to have animals. Like a little dog or cat?
No, we had no dog or cat.
Fish? Axolotl?
No.
Parrot?
No.
Okay.
What do we have? Holy cow. Oh my word. Did we have it? I'd feel sorry for whatever animal came to our house. I'd feel very sorry for it, really. There's too much going on, and the kids would probably, I don't know what they'd do, but it wouldn't be nice.
Here's an interesting question. Who is your oldest living friend? Would it be your brother?
Good question.
Nobody jumps out?
Now that I'm this age, struggling to find an older person than me, a living friend. What do you think, Christine?
Might have been a school friend, if it's not one of your brothers.
Oh, you meet Lindsay from time to time. You always have good catch-up.
Yeah. You have one old school friend who we went to the same school, Ipuni School.
This is primary school?
Yeah, primary school.
Wow.
And I still meet him from time to time. We'll have a coffee
So
somewhere.
that would be 60 years or so ago.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
We
amazing.
catch up for a coffee somewhere
Yeah,
and talk about those days.
yeah.
Yeah, his name's Lindsay.
Awesome.
Lindsay Rudman, yeah.
Do you think did your family celebrate Christmas and Easter
definitely.
and that kind of thing? Was it
100%, yeah.
generally food?
Yeah, no, we celebrated events.
Yeah.
You know, we were very political.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we weren't a family that didn't touch things.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family dynamically
Yeah.
that were across a range of subjects
Okay.
across the world,
Yeah.
and we would have been seen as quite controversial today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we always talked at the table
Yes.
and had opinions.
So there was a lot of active
Yeah,
discussion going on.
A lot of opinions about what was happening across the world.
Yeah.
We weren't afraid to address those
Yeah.
and to get into dialogue around what
Yeah.
was happening.
That feels like it's been a lifelong thing for you.
Potentially, yes. Yeah. We kind of, particularly, I mean, in those days, of course, you had the newspaper
Yeah.
to get information from.
Yeah.
So that was really our information. So it was probably a few days off by the time we got it. But, you know, we certainly talked about the Kennedys
Yeah.
in those days. It was like, you know,
Yeah.
JFK,
Yeah.
whether we wanted him as president or not.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of debate around
Right.
those key subjects that were part of our 50s and 60s world, really.
You must have remembered his assassination and
All of that, everything.
moon landing.
All of that was very, very extremely
Yeah.
focused.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's move through to school. Did you have any particular subject that you liked best? Or were you more of a, I'd rather not be at school altogether
Yeah,
thing?
no, I suppose I did like, I mean, I don't know how much history we did
Yeah.
at college. It wasn't probably that great.
Yeah.
But if anybody had a sort of tapped that thing in me,
Yes.
I would have been very
Huh.
into it. And geography.
Yeah.
So
You like geography?
I liked the things that
The
were
natural world.
that were outside of my world.
Yeah.
And so I was always fascinated by Britain. I was always fascinated by the old world.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. So it was like, yeah, how did that get there? And,
Have
know,
you had much of a chance to explore any of ancient
yeah,
civilizations
fortunately,
around
I
the
have
world?
as the years have gone by. I've
Yeah.
been able to do that.
Yeah.
But I remember looking at the Tower of London and looking at in Italy, you're looking at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and wondering why. And so I was always like one of those kids that sort of think, well, wouldn't it be great to see that, or to see this? And so I always had, as a young person,
Yeah.
I always had a desire to look beyond myself, but I never thought that would be possible.
Yeah.
Honestly, we had encyclopedias at home that Mum had bought
Yeah.
from
All
a
right. Okay.
travelling
You
salesman.
invested in the.
Travelling salesman.
Yeah.
And so I used to look at those and go, oh, wow, how exciting to see that,
They were quite expensive for a family to invest
Yeah, yeah. And so I was looking at those. I think they were in black and white, but Westminster and St Paul's, all the major
Yeah.
things. I was like, wow, how incredible. And I had no real thought or idea that I'd be one day be able to visit all those places. But it's quite amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
In your teenage years, was there kind of music or anything on the radio that appealed to you? Did you have bands or?
Well, I listened to many bands. I suppose you could not avoid it.
Were there any bands that you can remember that you really liked as a teenager?
Oh gosh.
So that would have that been, when were you a teenager? That would have been the 60s?
60s, yeah.
So the Beatles, Elvis.
Yeah, I saw it. We listened to the Beatles, and my father didn't agree with it, and so it was like listening to the Beatles was like, no,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be doing that. That's counterculture, or not part of who we are. And as Christians, we shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
And so we used to.
So you were brought up in a Christian home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
what denomination, or how would you describe
I would describe it
family?
as Pentecostal.
Right.
Yeah. So we wouldn't. It was frowned upon.
Yeah.
That was like that. And to be honest, although I enjoyed some of that light popular music, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was something that I followed. I didn't follow it.
Right. Okay.
And
did you like classical music then at that age?
I did.
As a teenager?
Yeah, and that's
Oh, wow.
weird. I grew up in a house full of people who were, liking other popular music.
Yeah.
And if I could find a room for half an hour where we could have the lights off and everybody would be gone, that would be a miracle.
Yeah.
That would be the time that I'd put my classical music on and play it.
Oh, wow.
And take myself to another place.
Yeah. Was there any piece that you came back to again and again? Was it organ music? Was it?
No. It was classical music. It was violin mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
any particular composers?
Cello, violin, Mantovani.
Yeah.
And his orchestra.
Yeah.
That was where I kind of started to feed into classical music.
Did you have the Reader's Digest set of cassettes?
I don't know, but I just had this awakening, if you like.
Yeah.
To understanding what classical music was about.
Interesting.
And it was quite weird for a person at my age to do that. But, to talk about my faith just briefly.
Yeah.
Because that's really a big part of who I am. And I remember as a teenager, maybe not even a teenager, I might have been 12, something like that, maybe younger, when I felt this pull on my heart to come into a relationship with God. It was like, what am I doing? I felt this tug. It was like, even as a boy.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And I remember giving my heart to the Lord probably about 12 years old.
Do you think you were responding to a message that you'd heard at church?
Yeah,
or
probably.
Or was it independent of that?
I would say it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
I would say it's a bit of both. And, like, my brother also was very much inclined at that time and to look at Christian things and so forth. And so I just wanted to be like him as well.
So at around 10, 11, 12 years old, approximately, you asked Jesus into your heart. Is that how did you pray a prayer, or?
Yes, I would have.
Yeah. Did you do that with one of your parents or a brother?
No,
or?
probably not a parent. Probably a brother.
Yeah.
Standing alongside me.
Yeah.
Or close to me.
Yeah.
So that was my very first memory of that.
Yeah.
And
was there a noticeable change to you at that age?
I'm not sure. I mean, yes, there was. I felt that there was something that had happened to me.
Yeah.
And I was changed. I took a little certificate home, put it in my drawer.
So you must have been. Were you at church or Sunday school or something like that?
Yeah, it would have been at church.
Oh, okay.
On Sunday.
Yeah.
And I put it in my drawer.
Yeah.
This is my declaration at whatever age I was.
Yeah.
And so I used to kind of treasure that, really.
Yeah. Do you remember being emotional leading up to that point or anything, or was it more of a will decision for you?
Yeah, I think it was a will decision. There's not much emotion attached to it. I think that I kind of decided this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy at a young age like that, but I had this real desire to go, no, I could turn left here or turn right.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to do that. I didn't know all the depths or anything too much.
Yeah.
But I didn't need to. I was like, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And so I did. And my life took a certain turn, and there was many things actually that occurred. Because at that time in my life, the family was quite dynamic, and there were things that were wrong, I could see. Siblings were making a wrong decision. I could see that at the age of sort of 13. Or, I thought, no, that's wrong. It's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, and so I could see the struggle going on within people's lives.
Yeah.
And I just thought some of the decisions were going to create problems for them. So I just that's not what I wanted in my life. I could see already the decisions were made were poor. And I kind of decided that. I asked God, please, Lord, help me to make right decisions in my life. I give it to you. And even at that age, that was my biggest prayer.
Yeah.
I mean, praying that with tears, Lord, help me. I can't do this by myself. Help me find a wife.
At that age?
At that age. It's bizarre. Yeah, help
Would
me.
she have been born at that point?
I don't know.
1 year old?
1 year
Wow.
older.
Oh, 1 year older.
1 year
she
older.
Definitely was born at that point.
Yeah. And so that was something I prayed, because I could see the damage and the devastation that was happening amongst some of my older siblings. I didn't want to be there. And I was frightened that I might make a bad decision.
Yeah.
And so that's why I prayed there.
Do you remember getting water baptised? Did you do that at church?
Yeah.
Yes, Pentecostal. That would have been part of one of the services.
It was. Yeah.
How old were you when you?
Oh my word!
At a stab, would have been a couple of years on.
Yeah, I would have been probably 15 or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
15.
Did you ever at that time experience what is called the baptism of the Holy Spirit, where you could
that
have a tangible experience of God in some way?
That would have been around that time, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it at the same time as being water baptised?
Probably, yes, I think it was. Yeah, I mean, I was involved, and later on in the church, I was involved in baptising other people as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was kind of like a deacon.
Yeah.
In the church.
Yes.
Yeah.
After that experience, did you notice anything in terms of spiritual giftings that started to be developed in you?
Nothing overt. I mean, I think I've always kind of had this desire to bring God into my world.
Yeah.
Wherever that was.
Yeah.
And so I had this desire to share the gospel with other people. And so if that's a gifting, well, that's probably what I had.
Yeah.
You know, I took that to all sorts of places. Funny, people used to laugh at me because I'd bring my Bible to work, and I'd read it at work at lunchtime or whatever. They looked at me quite strangely, and it created some controversy.
I love that.
Yeah, and so I did that, and I remember as I grew up and became a bit older, I was in charge of men.
Yeah.
And I had to look after them, bring them to work and so forth. So I would sometimes have the opportunity to share my faith with them. And that was always great, you know. So there was always this underlying thing to share faith with people in a very natural way. It was like natural as breathing.
Yeah. It's definitely a gift.
Yeah.
If you can do that. Do you, let me just think. So we'll just duck back to school, because I'll come back to your faith. Did you do any tertiary education or anything like that?
No.
So you went straight from school, and was that kind of after school, fifth form, sixth form, or did you stay at school till seventh form?
No, I didn't go to the seventh form. I didn't even go to the sixth form. I finished it, fourth form.
Fourth form, right. So
was
you
funny
didn't
that-
get your school certificate?
No.
Right, so what did you do at that point?
I'll tell you the funny story. I left the school,
Yeah,
and my science teacher came down to the quadrangle when I was leaving.
yeah,
His name was Mr. Oh gosh, what's his name? Doesn't matter, it's gone out of my head. But he said to me, "Ell," he looked at me straight in the eye, "Ell, you'll never amount to anything." and I walked away. So I said, "Okay, that's all right." I just moved on.
Don't you love teachers like that?
Yeah.
So good.
It does happen.
It can be motivational though.
Yeah.
I had a couple of teachers like that too.
Yeah. So, you know, I had different jobs as I left school. I worked as a painter and decorator at home. A contractor in the street asked me if I wanted to work for him.
Right.
Because he was going around doing state houses.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd like to do
Well,
that.
that was provident.
Yeah, I'll do that. And so I picked up some money and
Yeah.
started to do that. And
Led you into a life of paint.
yeah, and then I remember my first job actually was when I was 11 at a butcher shop.
Right.
So after school I'd go to the butcher shop.
At 11,
Yeah.
you were dealing with sharp knives.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was my first job really. First paid job was really the butcher shop.
I can't imagine any parent nowadays allowing an 11-year-old
Yeah.
anywhere near a butcher's shop.
Yeah, I know. They were dodgy, those two boys as well.
So you worked through your late teens, and did you buy a car with your money? What did you do with the money that you'd earned? Do you remember? Did you just feed it back into the family like everybody did to help support, or?
There's a bit of that because you couldn't, you know, we always, as soon as we started to earn real money, we put some money back in the family.
Yeah.
It was like you paid your board in those
Yeah,
days.
right. Yeah.
So I paid board.
What did you spend your money on? Do you remember?
Oh, crikey, I don't know what I spent. It's not that much money, so I don't know what I did. What did I do? Well, I don't know. I probably bought clothes, yeah.
Yeah, you're a clothing guy.
Yeah, I did.
A fashionista.
Yeah, I did. Actually,
Right.
Christine reminded me of that.
Yeah.
It was probably enhanced by some of the Beatles and some of the other musicians at the time.
And I guess you'd spent your life in second-hand clothes, so the idea
Yeah.
of being able to buy new
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
for
that was
yourself quite appealed.
Oh yeah, it did. And that was the Carnaby Street era,
Right.
you know, and in London.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of mirroring what they were doing a little
Right.
bit.
Oh, interesting.
I'd buy Carnaby Street clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jackets.
So,
I had a number of jackets and
Yeah.
things, but yeah.
Yeah. A lot of corduroy
Yeah, some corduroy.
and some denim.
Not so much denim. Denim
You
came
weren't a
after.
denim guy.
Denim came after that, I think.
Right.
Yeah, this was a bit different.
So
It was-
corduroy pants and vests, wool vests, and that kind of look. Do you remember?
Yeah, well, I had a nice
Lots
suit.
of jackets.
I remember having a nice blue suit, didn't I, dear? And I had a nice blue suit, and it had a fabric vest,
Right. Yeah.
which was, you know, and it was red.
Three-piece suit.
Yeah, so
A
three.
red
Well,
three-piece
red,
suit.
well, winey colour, quite a deep
Yeah.
deep
Burgundy kind of.
burgundy colour kind
Yeah.
of colour that went along with the blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of the first serious sort of suit that I bought.
Were you a hats person? Did you wear hats?
No, I don't remember.
Not a
wearing
hat
hats.
person.
No. No.
I like it.
So, yeah, no, that was fun. I got told off by my father
Yeah.
for wearing. I bought a pair of beetle boots
Yes.
because that was really the thing to do, to buy those boots. They
Yeah.
were brown. They were beautiful.
Well, they slightly
They're
pointy
high
at the
heels.
end. Yeah.
Very high heels.
Yes,
like
I know
probably
the
3-inch
kind.
heels.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And my dad said, "No, you can't buy those. Take them back. That's the devil."
Oh,
Yeah.
the shoes were the devil.
Yes, they were.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can't have you wearing those.
No, obviously not.
So I had a little bit of a fight about that. And it was funny. And when Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts
Yes.
Club album came out, my brother and I would sneak across the road at a friend's place
Yeah.
who would play that music. We couldn't play it at home, obviously.
Right.
And so we would sneak over to his house and play that music up loud.
Okay, so you did like a bit of popular music.
Yeah.
Did you ever smoke?
No.
That must have been quite rare. I asked that question because it shows the generational differences.
Yeah.
And kids nowadays are like, oh, they smoked. Dad smoked. Grandpa smoked.
Yeah. No.
So you weren't. Were there any smokers in the house? I guess you're maybe secret smokers.
I don't know. It doesn't really ring a bell with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't part of things that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you remember your first car?
Oh, yeah.
What was it? What kind of car was it?
I didn't get a car until I was married.
All right. Okay.
In fact, the family had no car. Now, you can imagine a family of 11
Yeah.
with no transport, living in a state house,
Wow.
except some of them bought their own sort of vehicles, which
Yeah.
were crazy. And so, yeah, that was interesting.
So it kind of limited you to the suburb a little bit.
It did. It did. So we had no car.
Yeah.
And once a year, my father used to get hire what we call a jalopy,
Yes.
and it
You'd
could fire
hire it.
chuck a whole lot of people in the back of it,
Yeah.
and he would drive it to Paraparaumu Beach.
Yeah. Oh wow.
That was very, very exciting for
Was
us.
that like New Year's Day or something like that?
Just
Must have been a
Christmas Day,
special
or
Christmas
something
Day.
like that? We were going to the beach,
Yeah.
so it was exciting.
Yeah.
We'd all throw in the back of this vehicle.
Yeah.
It was like an army vehicle because we had seats on each side and seats on that side.
Brilliant.
And then we had a whole case full of fruit, and we would often fire the fruit at the car behind us.
Yeah.
You know, just for fun. So that's kind of how we rolled. But that was an exciting time to go to the beach.
Yeah.
And so we'd do that, then we would go to the airport at Paraparaumu, because the main airport at Paraparaumu in those days was not Wellington, didn't exist.
Yeah.
And the Paraparaumu airport was the key main airport.
Right.
And we would sit there and watch all these planes, DC-3s and
Yeah.
so forth, come and go.
Remember the DC-3s.
With people, and you know, dressed up in their finery
Yeah.
to take them to somewhere in the country, Blenheim or wherever they were going.
Yeah.
But
wow.
we would sit on the hill for hours and watch them come and go. It
Yeah.
was special. You know?
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So that was a little bit of that kind of how we experienced our growing up, and then I bought a car when I was married only for a year or two,
Yeah.
and it was a Ford Escort,
Yeah.
two-door white Ford Escort.
Two-door white Ford Escort with brown seats?
No,
Black
they were
seats?
red seats, sporty.
Oh, wow.
It was red inside
Yeah.
and white outside.
Yeah. Oh, I know the look.
Quite cool.
Yeah. You'd pay a lot of money to get one of those
Oh
now.
yeah. Completely impractical for a family, however.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it at the time.
No.
I didn't
Well, you didn't have a family at that point,
no,
did
well,
you?
it didn't they weren't long in coming after that. So we had to sort of readjust
Oh, I love that.
our vehicles. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Fun.
In terms of memory, do you remember your grandparents?
No.
You don't, on neither side
No, I had no memory of my grandparents.
at all?
No.
So were they gone by the
Yes.
time you
Yes, they
were
had.
born? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't remember them.
Yeah.
I just don't remember them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.